All right. So let's now talk about atomic theory from Paramanu to quantum physics. If you remember earlier in Bhagavatam, the smallest atom or atoms is referred to as Paramanu. So, what you're about to discover will fundamentally change how you understand the relationship between the second part of wisdom, the ancient wisdom from scriptures, and the modern physics. The atomic theory that forms the foundation of modern chemistry, physics, and technology wasn't pioneered by Democritus in ancient Greece or John Dalton in 1803. It was systematically described in extraordinary detail in the Srimad Bhagavatam over 5,000 years ago using the Sanskrit term Paramanu, literally meaning beyond the atom, or key thing here is what we call as ultimate particle. You will see in again that we will following episodes we're going to get into the canto. So you will see in Canto 3, Chapter 11 of Bhagavatam, it provides what may be the most sophisticated pre-modern description of atomic theory ever recorded. The text states, quote, the atom is the smallest particle of the universe. But it doesn't stop there. It describes how Parmanu combine through specific bonding principles to form larger structures, how they vibrate and move in predictable patterns, and most remarkably, how consciousness interacts with atomic behavior. Probably can relate to the physicist and the chemistry and the engineering folks can relate to that in modern science. This isn't vague philosophical speculations. The text provides detailed descriptions of atomic combinations, the forces that hold atoms together, and the mathematical relationship governing atomic interactions. The precision suggests direct observational knowledge rather than theoretical speculations. The Bhagavatam's descriptions of atomic combination principle anticipates uh, modern understanding of chemical bonding with remarkable accuracy. The text describes how Parmanu join together through specific affinities and repulsions, forming increasingly complex structures. It explores how certain combinations are stable while others are temporary. Again, remember your chemistry lessons, physics lessons, and how atomic arrangements determine the properties of larger substances. What's particularly sophisticated in the text description of atomic hierarchy is how atoms combine to form molecules, molecules combine to form um, co- compounds organized into complex structures. This hierarchical understanding of matter organization predicts modern chemistry by thousands of years. Again, in Canto 3, we will talk more on this topic in greater detail. Perhaps the most remarkably, the Bhagavatam describes the relationship between consciousness and atomic behavior. A concept now we talk a lot about that quantum physics is only now beginning to explore through the observer effect. The text explains how consciousness influences atomic arrangements, how mental states affect physical structures, and how the observer's awareness impacts the behavior of observed phenomena. Again, those of you trying to understand quantum physics can relate to this. Can you remember 5,000 years ago this was written? This consciousness matter integration addresses what modern physics calls the measurement problem, how the act of observation affects quantum systems. The Bhagavatam doesn't see this as a problem because it never separated consciousness from matter in the first place. Now let's look at the modern atomic theory timeline. So let's examine how modern atomic theory developed in comparison to 5,000 years ago, what's described about Paramanu in Canto 3. Democritus proposed atomic concepts around 400 BCE, already 2,600 years after Bhagavatam. John Dalton's theory in 1803 provided the first systematic modern approach. J.J. Thomson discovered the electrons in 1897. Ernest Rutherford described nuclear model in 1911, and Niels Bohr described quantum atomic model in 1913. Each of these developments represented rediscovery and refinement of principles already present in the Bhagavatam 5,000 years back. The text descriptions of atomic structure, particle integration, and quantum-like behavior anticipated these modern discoveries by a millennium. The parallels between Bhagavatam descriptions and quantum physics are extraordinary. The text describes atomic vibrations and movement in ways that anticipate wave-particle duality. It explains how particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously, similar to quantum superposition. It describes how observation affects atomic behavior, paralleling the quantum observer effect. Most significantly, the text describes how atomic behavior is influenced by consciousness, a concept that quantum physics is struggling to understand through theories of consciousness based collapses of wave functions. What makes the Bhagavatam atomic description truly remarkable is their integration across scales. The text doesn't just describe atoms in isolation, it shows how atomic principles relates to molecular behavior, biological processes, planetary motions, and cosmic structure. This scale integration provides the unified framework that modern physics is seeking through theories of everything. So you'll see on the bottom right, these descriptions I'm talking about, parallels are mentioned here. The mathematical precision is equally impressive. The text provides calculations that relate atomic dimensions in cosmic measurements, showing how the same mathematical principles govern reality at all scales. This suggests a level of observational sophistication and mathematical capability that challenge our assumptions about ancient knowledge. The Bhagavatam's atomic theory isn't just theoretical, it includes practical applications. The text describes how understanding atomic principles can lead to technological developments, how atomic knowledge relates to health and medicine, and how atomic understanding contributes to spiritual development. This practical orientation explains why the text remains relevant for contemporary research, modern nanotechnology, quantum computing, and consciousness studies are rediscovering applications that were systematically described in the ancient text. What we are witnessing here is perhaps the most sophisticated preservation of atomic knowledge in human theory. While other ancient traditions mention atomic concepts, only the Bhagavatam provides the detailed, systematic, mathematical precision descriptions that remain accurate and applicable today. This explains why quantum physicists like Heisenberg, Schrödinger, and Bohm found Vedic texts so valuable. If you refer to their biographies, you will see the reference to Vedic scriptures. They weren't seeking religious inspirations. That's not what inspired them to read Bhagavatam. They were assessing atomic knowledge that provided insights unavailable in purely realistic approaches. As we advance into the quantum age with quantum computing, you probably are hearing a lot today. The next revolution after AI is going to be the quantum computing, which will change the game on the AI. Quantum communications and quantum consciousness research. The Bhagavatam's integrated approach to atomic theory becomes increasingly valuable. One of my objectives of this series is to motivate people to read Bhagavatam and get the inspirations and the wisdom from that. The text provides the consciousness matter integration that modern quantum physics desperately needs to solve its foundational paradoxes and develop practical applications that serve human welfare.